So today, after a very, very controversial and big week in boxing with Fury versus Wilder 3, we're going to tone it down a little bit and we're going to talk about the 154-pound division, or at least in this case, 154-pound now official WBO contender Tszyu. Now, it's no secret, with all the new visitors around here, I must tell you, yes, that name sounds familiar. He is the son of, we're just going to leave it there. On T-Street Controversy, we've got my colleague on the line, Big J with FightView360.com. To open it up, we're going to say, we're going to listen to Tszyu as he just had a press conference with his overseas pay-per-view distributor Main Event, and with his promoter, what's the guy's name in? Brian Rose? What's his name again? Lord knows.
George Rose.
George Rose. Brian Rose is the fighter.
George Rose and Matt Rose.
George Rose and Matt Rose, and he's going to be fighting a Takeshi Inoue. No, he's not related to Naoya Inoue. This Takeshi fought Jaime Munguia. That was Jaime Munguia he fought, correct? Yeah, I remember that fight. I covered the fight.
Correct, yeah. It's a couple of years ago, 2019. January 2019, about 3 months before Munguia fought and should have lost to Hogan.
In my opinion, this is going to be a very tough fight, a type of style at this level that Tszyu hasn't seen, and Inoue is going to come to fight. It's going to be taking place November the 17th on Main Event in Foxtel, KO Sports. I'm learning. Pay-per-view and over in Australia. Here in the States, we're going to hope that we get it televised here, possibly on ESPN, as they picked up Tszyu fights in the past. So let's listen to Tszyu from the press conference before we take a deep dive into the video and talk about some 154-pound fighters, politics, and what's next for Tszyu if he wins. Take your time out, like the video, subscribe. This is T-Street Controversy and Big J with FightView360.com.
Tim, exciting that you're going to be able to fight in front of all your friends and family, and you don't have to worry about the processes and disruptions of quarantine for this fight now.
Yeah, 100%. When I found out the news, I was super excited, especially that it's in Kudos Bank Arena. I've watched concerts here, I've watched comedians, I've watched sporting matches, I've watched all the best things, and to be fighting here and to be headlining my own show, it's a privilege. I'm super excited to be doing it here in Sydney as well.
You must have got a good response from your family and your friends and fans here in Sydney.
Look, everyone here in Sydney has been struggling for the last 3 months. We haven't been able to leave our house for 5 kilometres. So the Sydney fans do deserve something like this. We've missed out on so much, our social lives, sporting events, all it is. So, Christmas is around the corner, summer's around the corner, and a big sporting event and a big boxing match here November 17.
And a great announcement today that those frontline health workers have been so very important for all of us are going to be able to get some free tickets to this event. You must be proud that that's taking place.
Yeah, 100%. They risk their life again. These are the guys that made it all possible happen. And this is the reason why we're out of lockdown and it's freedom, as they said, Freedom Day.
Takeshi Inoue is your opponent from Japan, a former world title challenger, the world number 7. What should people expect if they can get here to the venue on November the 17th, or if they're watching on Main Event?
Yeah, look, Takeshi's he's going to be a tough opponent, but I'm predicting that I'm gonna get rid of this bloke in under 6 rounds. I've been training super hard, and I'm not taking no mercy. This is make it or break it, kill or be killed, and I'm taking it all for all the Sydney fans.
How are you feeling about that risk that you are taking in this fight, given you are the mandatory world title challenger? This is a fight you don't need to be taking. How do you feel about that at the moment?
Oh, look, no risk, no reward. I get to fight in front of my fans, and I get to fight in front of everyone here in Australia. Again, this could be my last fight. Who knows? Could be my last fight here in Australia. We've got such big aspirations and big goals that it could take us overseas in the next fight, and I've been pushing for that because I want to be up there at the top level. But yeah, again, it could be my last few fights here in Australia. So I'm just looking forward to taking this Japanese bloke out and taking the world title next.
Well, Tim, finally, why should people get here to Kudos Bank Arena on November the 17th or watch on Main Event?
Look, everyone loves knockouts. Everyone loves stoppages. Everyone likes brutal and one-on-one fighting, and that's what I bring. And I'm not gonna tip tap, I'm not gonna touch, jab around. I'm gonna go in for the kill, and yeah, I'm gonna put on one performance that people are gonna be talking about for a long time.
All right. The fight is going to be taking place November the 17th in the Kudos Bank Arena in Sydney Olympic Park, South Wales, Australia. Now, before we listen to why
New South Wales.
New South Wales. I said North South. New South Wales, Australia. Now, before we get into why his promoter is saying they moved the fight, first, where was the fight originally supposed to take place, and why is it moving?
It was originally supposed to take place at the Gold Coast Convention Centre. I think that's it. Yeah, Gold Coast Convention Centre. And the real reason why they're moving it is because they haven't sold any tickets. It hasn't sold. There's several factors into the reason why it hasn't sold. And I'm going to go with the side of no limit here, but probably one of the main reasons is that the Queensland border is shut. No one from New South Wales can get into Queensland unless you want to do a 2-week quarantine. So thank you to Premier Alistana Palaszczuk, who shut the border and probably won't open it until fucking Christmas. So your chances of getting into Queensland from New South Wales or Victoria, which are both red states, not Republican as in red as in high COVID states, your chances of getting into Queensland are fuck all. So that's the main reason why they moved that's the main reason. And also, New South Wales has just come out of lockdown, their Freedom Day, which happened about 3 or 4 days ago. So they're like, well, bugger it. 95% of Zoo's fans are from New South Wales anyway. So they'll just have it in Sydney where they know the people don't need to travel to go to the fight.
So basically they should have just had it there in the first place because, when they originally scheduled it, they were hoping, I'm guessing, assuming that the borders would be open, and they weren't. So ticket sales were down. So they moved the event with basically just a little over a month before.
Well, to be fair to them, when the fight was originally scheduled, New South Wales was still in their lockdown. They weren't going anywhere.
Okay.
And the borders were shut in Queensland. So it was a flip of the coin. I mean, maybe they should have went to South Australia, but could Tszyu sell in South Australia? I don't know. I don't know. So, I mean, there's only ever been a couple of boxing events there. Perth is going great guns for sport because bloody Western Australia's the only state you can get into. So they had the AFL Grand Final there. They've had a few other things over in Perth. So maybe Perth could have been a place, but they're trying to do the best they can to put the fight where they know they can sell. But then again, this Kudos Bank holds 21,000. They're only allowing 10 there. So
okay.
It's a mess. I wouldn't want to be the Rose Boys, but to clean up that mess. But they're doing the best they can. But the real reason was it wasn't selling, and the reason behind that was because no one could get in the bloody Queensland to go and watch the fight from New South Wales.
Let's listen to what his promoter had to say at the very beginning about why, and they have some images of the arena right here as well.
This facility over here, which has been doing the very important work of being a vaccination hub, will very shortly be open to 75% capacity, meaning as many as 10,000 tickets can be sold to the venue, and the fight will take place between Tszyu and Inoue on November the 17th, the Wednesday night, so the same date that we were meant to be going ahead on the Gold Coast, but now it'll take place here in Sydney. Of course, you can see the action live on Main Event Television, and you can order that event shortly via mainevent.com.au. Ben Damon's my name. Cannot wait to call the action for a massive fight, and this is a huge fight between a man who is the mandatory world title challenger in Tszyu and Takeshi Inoue from Japan, who arrives the week after next. He's number 7 in the world, a former world title challenger, so it's a really important fight. A very risky fight for Tszyu, given that he is the mandatory world title challenger to Brian Castano, and hopefully we get that world title fight maybe back here in Australia next year, but in between he's got a very tough fight against a very tough Japanese opponent. This event is being put together by No Limit Boxing Promotions, and George Rose has joined us here today from No Limit, and I'll let him say a few words about the process of bringing this fight back from the Gold Coast here to Sydney and a ticket offer that they have up as well.
Yeah, look, thanks, Ben. Look, after the last few months spent in Queensland preparing for what would have been a great fight up there at the Gold Coast Convention Centre, we've excited to announce that we are coming here to Kudos Bank Arena here in Sydney. And I think after 16 weeks of lockdown, this is the pressure valve that Sydney's needed. Tszyu's coming home to fight, and he's got a very tough opponent in Takeshi Inoue. We're really stoked to be here at Kudos Bank Arena. Every big event that happens in Sydney happens here at Kudos. Every great concert, whether it's comedians, performers, musicians, everyone who comes here likes to come to the Kudos Bank Arena. We've been eyeing off Kudos Bank Arena for quite some time, and for us, it's really exciting to bring Tszyu here. Tszyu is Australia's #1 fighter, and to have him here in front of up to 10,000 fans who have been craving live sporting action. I can't sympathise with Sydney fans enough, missing out on all the rugby league, all the rugby union, all the big live sporting matches. Now you get the opportunity to see Tszyu here live at Kudos. And one of the really important things that I'd like to announce today is that we're going to offer 1,000 free tickets to some of our frontline health workers who have been working in vaccination hubs like here at Kudos for the past period, helping us get forward and get to this position where we're at now, where we're able to be outdoors and enjoy live sporting events again. So for us, it's really important that we can provide these 1,000 free tickets to those frontline health workers, because we really respect the work they've done, and we'd love them to be able to enjoy what's going to be a great night of fights.
All right, let's talk about the fight, I guess. Tszyu, 19-0 with 15 KOs. Takeshi Inoue is 17-1-1 with 10 KOs. His last fight was against, I'm not going to butcher the guy's name. I can put it up right here on the screen. It was a 8-round unanimous decision. The guy was 6-0-2. Last before that, a Tszyu, 14-2-1. Before that, pretty much he's done a whole bunch of nothing since fighting Jaime Munguia back in January of 2019, almost, 3 years ago. So right now, let's see. Looking at the 154-pound division, Jamel Charlo, the king of the division, WBC, WBA Super, IBF, Brian Castano, who Tszyu is the mandatory, WBO. The WBO was not going to order Tszyu to fight Brian Castano, from my guess, until about maybe March or April or so, because they're waiting to see if the IBF and Bakram Murtazaliev are going to allow for Charlo and Brian Castano to fight again. If Charlo and Castano don't fight, Charlo has to fight Murtazaliev. Brian Castano gets a voluntary. Then after that, meaning he can fight whoever he wants in the top 15 of the WBO, and maybe he would choose Tszyu, and Tszyu can get an early title shot. But, that remains to be seen. Now, here is an interesting fight where I feel Tszyu should have fought any of these guys, or he should fight the winner after. My colleague, we're going to talk about it. If it's not Liam Smith, by the way, who got a win over Anthony Fowler this weekend. But anyway, Magomed Kurbanov is taking on former WBO champion Patrick Teixeira on December the 11th in Russia, of all places. Teixeira, 31-2 with 22 KOs. Kurbanov, 22-0 with 13 KOs. A lot of people felt he had defeated Liam Smith in his last fight. And it's funny how, looking at everything that's going on, the WBO is clearly following the money and fast-tracking Tszyu to a title shot. Your thoughts on Tszyu if he wins against Inoue? Who would you like to see him fight?
The winner of Teixeira Kurbanov. I think that makes perfect sense. As you said, it all does hang on how the IBF is going to go. I honestly believe that the IBF is going to go, bugger it. Charlo has to fight Makarev, what's his name?
Bakram Murtazaliev.
Yeah, Makarev. Yeah, I think that's the way the IBF is going to go. it might be interesting that Castano might be sitting on the shelf for 6 to 8 months. That might the way it might go, because who's Castano going to fight? I mean,
Well,
unless he fight, let me see, Liam Smith just fought, Teixeira and Kurbanov are fighting each other.
but he could just say, you know what? I'm going to take a little tune-up and fight somebody on the lower end of the 154-pound rankings. Like a guy
Yes,
like
where's Sergio
Brandon
Garcia?
Adams or Sergio Garcia. Yeah, one of those guys.
One of those guys, yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, fair enough. That'll just keep him busy, won't it? So
Yeah, it's happened before.
Yeah,
like Fury fought Tom Schwartz and Otto Wallin before. He fought Wilder again. So he can before in an interim fight before a big fight. So he can fight one of those guys.
yeah, definitely. Do we know when the IBF's going to give confirmation on when they're going to make their decision on the?
No, it should be soon though, within the next month. But in my personal opinion, I think they're working on something. Maybe Murtazaliev. But see, he's been waiting so long for his shot that the IBF may not allow it. But I wouldn't be surprised, because of the fact that it would be for undisputed, that the IBF would say, okay, well, Murtazaliev has to fight for an interim title and the winner has to fight him, no more exceptions. So I'm still holding out hope that we may get Charlo versus Castano too, and Murtazaliev may be the co-feature fighting for the IBF interim.
And who's he going to fight for that? Jack O'Kay is the next in line.
There you go.
Number 2 IBF?
There you go. It can be Jack Kouke. But who knows what happens when it's November the 17th? Could Tszyu get a call? But then again, the timing wouldn't be right, because if Charlo Castano 2 were to happen, I'm guessing it would have to happen in January, no later than February.
I'm going December. I reckon they'll get it before the year's out.
I mean, we'll see, because December is now, we're in October, halfway through. And Charlo would have to be in camp.
Yeah, they'll probably stretch it out to January. Yeah, that's probably more realistic.
Yeah.
More realistic.
So which means we would have to hear something from the IBF sometime within the next month, no later.
Exactly. But let's get on to the fight now. Tszyu has said that he's going to knock this fella out in 6 rounds. I don't think that's going to happen. This bloke's never been stopped. He's gone up against the likes of Munguia, who's a known
competing at 160, by the way.
Yeah, and that was when Munguia was at his best at 154, and he couldn't stop Inoue. What makes Tszyu thinks he's going to stop this bloke? Okay, yeah, he's a little older.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I like the fact that he made the statement, though. Good on him to start really exerting himself and getting a little fire under him.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. But I don't think. If he hits him with one of those body shots, to his credit, Tim does have those good body shots. But then again, I mean, all he's done is blown up welterweights. So, anyway.
So,
what do you think?
Well, right now, I mean, I'm still on the, I would consider it impressive. And I would consider, if he were to stop, Inoue, I would consider it impressive, and then it would show me a lot. But right now, I'm thinking it's going to go to a decision, and it's probably going to be Tszyu's hardest fight. Now, if he makes it look easy, then I'm going to be mad props, but I think it's going to go to decision, and I don't think this Inoue is coming there to play around. These Japanese fighters, especially the pressure fighter power punchers, they're always in your face constantly, and they actually play defense with their faces.
Yeah, that's right. Because you've said before that Inoue defense ain't that great, but he can take a shot.
Yeah, for real.
And Tszyu against established 154ers, right? Prime 154ers, meaning Dwight Ritchie, Joel Camilleri. He didn't knock either of those boys out. Well, I don't think he even knocked either of them down.
Yeah, there you go.
So, against established 154ers and not these smaller guys that move up, Tszyu doesn't really, have the power to drop these guys. So we'll see. I'm very interested to see how he actually goes against an established prime ranked 154.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't fought one of them since Dwight Ritchie, and that was, 2 years ago? So, anyway. But, undercard.
Yeah, looking at the undercard. Let me just read it out. You can go through them one by one. So it's going to be basically... from what I know about Australian boxing, seems to be a pretty solid, exciting undercard. Not too many, things where that really, really jump out, but it's going to be exciting. Dennis Hogan, Tommy Brown, Joel Camilleri versus Wes Capper, Wade Ron versus Big
Kappa.
Mahoney. And then we're still waiting for some more fights to be announced. Your thoughts on the undercard?
Oh, yeah, like solid. I mean, this is for 154 in Australia. These blokes, with the exception of Wes Kappa, because he's dropped down from middleweight, these blokes are including Tim, Wade, Joel, Dennis, Tommy, Ben, have either won an Australian title, regional titles, or competed for world titles. So these blokes at 154 at the moment are the top, 5 154s in the country. So, I mean, Dennis has done, competed for WBO 154, we all know that. Tommy Brown has won a couple of minor, and I do mean minor, 154 world titles there. What's Wade? Wade's coming up in spades. He's won a couple of regional belts. Ben Mahoney, former Australian champ, and we all know what Tim Tszyu's done. Same with Joel Camilleri, a couple of regional titles at 154, former Australian champion. So these blokes, are at the top. But to individually break them down, I think the fight of the night will probably be Wade Ryan versus Ben Mahoney.
Mm-hmm.
I think those two will probably beat the living shit out of each other. So that's because Wade Ryan doesn't take a backward step. You've seen his fights before. He sits there and takes a beating. He'll just keep coming at you.
Yeah.
So Joel and Wes Kappa, I'll have to give the advantage to Joel because he's more of an established 154 where Wes is coming down. And Dennis and Tommy, good opportunity for two, war horses to have one more moment in the sun. As much as I like this fight, I sort of don't like this fight because I thought Tommy Brown was retired. Last I saw him, he was on some reality TV show called Ultimate Tag or some Channel 7 TV show. So I thought he was retired, but they've got him back. Same with Dennis. I mean, one more loss, these guys, they ride off to the sunset. So, they're both in their late 30s. They both seen better days. I like it, but I don't like it. Two young blokes could get a spot, but, I'm still going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's a solid, Matchroom, bloody No Limit does a solid card each and every time. We've always said that. They do a great, they really have picked the best 154s available in Australia. So it's going to be some bloody good fights. But I definitely reckon Wade versus Ben will be probably the fight of the night.
All right. Well, closing thoughts on my end. Good solid test for Tim Tszyu. His next fight, if he wins against Inoue, it should be one of those guys mentioned before, whether it's even a Sergio Garcia, even if it's him. But I think it should be Liam Smith, the winner of Kurbanov versus Teixeira. And then sometime, in 2022, he's going to get his title shot. And he's in a very, very good position because he can possibly get a title shot against an undisputed champion, get a chance to fight for all of the belts. And then with his name, I'm sure the WBO was probably factoring that in. What we're going to wait for is, though, to see if anyone over here in the States, hopefully ESPN, is going to pick up the fight. So I won't have to hunt around, on the 17th trying to find a way to watch the fight here in the States. Your closing thoughts?
I'm really looking forward to seeing what Tim can do in this fight because this is his first real international test. This is the first guy that's ranked in the top 10 of the WBO, an established 154, not some blown-up welterweight or super lightweight filling in on a week's notice. But the other concern is that Inoue's not even in the country yet.
They said he's going to be here in a week and a half.
Yeah, a week and a half, and then he's going to have to do a 2-week quarantine. All right, so if he gets here in a week and a half, which is end of October, he's going to be in 2-week quarantine 3 days before the fight.
For fight week, basically, he's going to only be able to come out for fight week. He's going to be coming out. So I'm guessing they're going to have all of his everything he needs in the hotel or the property that they're going to have, for him to do his training.
Yeah, because I don't know what New South Wales' quarantine requirements. Some states are having at-home quarantine. But for international travellers, I got no bloody... It changes every friggin' day. I can't keep up with it. This Australia and COVID, what a fucking mess. But anyway, I don't know what's going on, but Yeah, I think that's a factor that should be considered. Is like, why is he getting here so late? He should already be here.
Yeah.
He should have got here a month ago. But anyway, that's just something I want people to keep in the back of their minds. So, this kid, if he's going to have a 2-week break of training, that's really going to put him on the back foot. So.
Also, you wanted to give a shout out to No Limit for giving out the tickets for the 1,000 tickets for the healthcare workers.
Oh, damn right. Yeah, I think 1,000 tickets to a 10,000, and they're going to give away 10% of their tickets to frontline healthcare workers, nurses, doctors, paramedics, all that sort of thing. Go to the fight. Fucking good on them. I think that's the Aussie spirit. That's the way to go. You've got to tip your hat to the Rose boys for doing that. So good on them. I really think that is a really positive thing to do, and I tip my hat to them for that. Good on.
All right, take your time out, like the video, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at TstreeT Controversy, and Big J at Old Mate Big J. This is FightView360.com. Please subscribe.